It's that time again. It's Wednesday evening. It's the Transfer Exchange Show. We're joined by Aaron Barton, a Portuguese expert, Portuguese football expert. We've got Steve K in the background to give you all the updates you've been looking for, whether it's Raphinha, Marc Cucurella. I know you're sitting in there waiting, chomping at the bit for some Marc Cucurella news. Don't worry, it's coming up. And of course, all the updates that you want. Make sure you get your questions in as well, because we've got Steve, as I said, and of course, this is the one place to get all the transfer news. Let's go. Welcome to the Transfer Exchange Show. We are live. I've got Steve K in the room. How you doing, Steve?
Yeah, how you doing, Kieran? Good to be here. Good to be here. Big day today. A lot of big names. A lot of things to talk about today. So looking forward to it. But at first, I'm looking forward to having a nice relax and listening to Aaron, so I can just sit back for the next 15 minutes and hear about a couple of these players.
I need questions. I need your questions sent into Aaron as well. Don't just sit there. All right, and we've got Aaron Barton, Portuguese football expert. How you doing, Aaron?
I'm doing great. Looking forward to it. Thanks for having me on.
All right. So we've got a lot of Arsenal fans that follow us. We've got a lot of Liverpool fans that follow us, and obviously two of the biggest transfers to happen in Portuguese football this season so far, Fábio Vieira and Darwin Núñez. First and foremost, what kind of a player is Fábio Vieira, and what should Arsenal fans expect?
Trying to give a non-biased answer, but he's a brilliant player as well. Arsenal have got. He's tried to take off the blinkers, but he's up there as one of my favourite players, not just Portuguese players, but players in football at the moment. Player I really admire watching. He's a creative player. He can act as sort of that link between midfield and attack. He's versatile, can play anywhere across a front three. He's played as a number 8 and say a 4-3-3 on the right hand side, and that kind of Bernardo Silva mould. He's got a brilliant left foot. He's just a really brave, energetic player, someone who loves to get on the ball. And to be honest, it's a transfer that, although I think he could have maybe had one more season in Portugal, that's probably just be me wanting to see another year of him at Porto. But it's a big move for him at a massive club like Arsenal, and I'm really looking forward just to see how he gets on, to be honest.
Is there any worry that the move's too early, or do you think he's the kind of player that can take this on his shoulders?
Well, he's a player who's had to deal with frustration throughout his career, even from when he was a youth player, in terms of he didn't get selected for the national teams until very late. I think maybe the under-17s or under-18s. And then at Porto under Sérgio Conceição, he wasn't playing much, in and out of the side. And at the time, especially, a lot of Porto fans were getting frustrated in that they wanted to see more of him. But it's clear that Conceição had this plan of slowly bring him into the side. And then when Luis Diaz ended up moving to Liverpool, you saw just the player that Vieira was and became sort of over those last couple of months as he took on that on his shoulders. So I think this move for him is just another, if he doesn't get immediate game time, it'll be something that he has to get on with. And I'm sure he'll get his fair share of minutes in the competitions that Arsenal will compete in. But could he have done another year in Portugal? Possibly. It probably would have benefited him in that he hasn't actually had a full season at Porto where he's an established starter. But saying that, the way that the Portuguese market is now, if he has another season at Porto and perhaps signs another long-term deal, more eyes are on him, more clubs are after him. And I think what you're seeing now, I discussed this recently on another podcast, is rather than players staying in Portugal for a year or two more whilst clubs monitor, these clubs are sort of triggering it early now, as if to say, if we're not in there now, if we're too late, then they may end up sort of moving on for bigger money. So smart business by Arsenal, and I'm sure the Mikel Arteta and the team there will know how to manage his minutes and make sure that his development doesn't sort of stunt.
Yeah, he managed to get 20 goals in the league in 26 games, which is an absolutely incredible stat. I'm not expecting him to bring that into the Premier League just like that, like for like. But how hard do you think it will be to sort of replicate something even similar to that?
He didn't score 20 goals, not Vieira.
20 goal contributions, sorry.
Are you looking at 20 goal contributions? Yeah. No, it's fine. So I think it obviously there's that sort of bridge between the Premier League and the Premier League. Some players can take to it very quickly, i.e. someone like Luis Diaz, or it might take him a little bit longer. But I think no matter what league he's playing in, he's always going to be able to create chances just because of the player that he is. His reading of the game is exceptional. He gets onto the ball. He sometimes, and it's a pro and a con, he will try and play the pass that no one else sees, and most of the time it comes off. What was happening was he was providing these magical assists, and you think it doesn't really matter where you're playing there. If you can put a ball through a defense to a striker who can finish, you're going to get assists at the end of the day. And then his goal contribution in terms of scoring as well is he scored a couple of set pieces. He's a good set piece taker. Whether he'll have that duty at Arsenal, I'm not too sure. But he can strike them from distance as well. I think with him as well, he's a player who he doesn't need goal contributions to stand out. The case in point, Portugal's last the under-21 tournament, the last Euros, Portugal lost in the final to Germany, but Fábio Vieira won player of the tournament. He only scored one goal, and I think he provided one assist. But it's his overall play. It's those sorts of he plays a lot of sort of secondary assists. He'll link play together, maybe play a nice smart ball out wide for someone to cut back across goal for a striker to be there to sort of tap home. It's those sort of things that can go unnoticed, and then on top of that, his goal contributions are crazy as well. So yeah.
Something I like to ask you, Aaron. A player that Arsenal are really looking for this to bring in is a number 8 type of player, and there's a lot of people I'm getting asked, and it's all over Twitter, whether Fabio can do that job. Does he have a defensive attribute to his game, or is it just plainly in the final third of the pitch?
No, he does have defensive attributes. I think is I can't remember exactly what they were, but his defensive numbers sort of per 90 when he was playing,
right.
Especially when he was starting, were good. His work off the ball is great, and I think that just comes from the fact that he's an intelligent player. So his reading of the game, he's not simply someone who will switch off in a game and wait for, and then as soon as he gets the ball at his feet, all of a sudden he sort of comes to life. And there's lots of players that are like that, where you think it's risk reward, they'll drift it. He's not like that. He's constantly buzzing about, constantly trying to put pressure on the opponents when they've got the ball. And I think, to be honest, I believe the main reason that he developed this sort of defensive side to his game as well is playing under Sérgio Conceição. Now, those who know Portuguese football will know if you're not doing the right things, if you're not doing what's expected of you, it doesn't matter how many goals and assists you provide. For Sérgio Conceição, you'll hit the bench. He's done it to players for the last couple of years, and he's won titles doing it. Now, I think him and Vitinha as well. Vitinha, who was sent out to Wolves, they both had to sort of improve what they were doing without the ball, in order to get those minutes on the pitch. And then you see what happened towards the end of the season. Conceição was putting more faith in him, more trust in him, and that's because he was working hard without the ball. As I say, at times he has played as that. If Arsenal say line up in a 4-3-3, that sort of right-sided central midfield position. And I mentioned his name before, Bernardo Silva, because I think their sort of positional trajectory, the way their careers have sort of moved, are pretty aligned in that Bernardo was often shunted out sort of right wing, not as your typical pace, he'll try and sort of beat a man, get to the byline and put a cross in. It was almost like he was playing this central midfielder in a wide position. That's like what Fábio Vieira is. And like Bernardo as well, he's worked on his work off the ball. So yeah, I think if he plays with another 2 midfielders with him, with a proper maybe more defensively minded midfielder. There's no reason why he can't play a little bit deeper.
Yeah,
Yes,
great. That's good to hear.
There'll be some old school bods that be looking at him and thinking he's very slight, looks very lightweight. Is there any worry that he won't be able to handle the Premier League strength wise?
I mean, it is an old thing, but it's also a very relevant one. I've already seen quite a lot of people online saying, you'll have to hit the gym, and maybe he's quite small.
He said he's not worried about, didn't he?
And but to be honest, he's I wouldn't worry too much. I wouldn't worry until I see him and see how he sort of handles it, because if we look, I mean, historically, how many great players have been at the same sort of size and stature, and in the Premier League again. I mean, we can't get away from mentioning Bernardo Silva, but again, if you're reading the game, is that good, and you've got that sort of low centre of gravity, and you've got that little bit of aggression there, a little bit of bite as well, then you can more than hold your own. And he's a very brave individual. He's not going to shake out. I can tell you that. So Arsenal will have, I'm sure, we'll have some sort of plan for him. Maybe get him a little bit bulkier, get him on some strength regime, but keep that sort of nimbleness as well.
Yeah. I don't think Mikel Arteta would have brought him in. Funny enough, I think he would have looked for that player who can do that defensive game as well. Because, like we said, we're talking about Bernardo Silva. Mikel Arteta, he's came from Manchester City. He would want that type of player that can do not only the jobs in the final third, but also the defensive work as well. So it's good with what you're saying there. It's hopefully in lines with everything.
All right. Now on to the next one. Liverpool fans, it's your turn. Darwin Núñez has joined Liverpool. A lot of hype around him. Came from Spain. Had a couple of seasons with Benfica. Man United looked like they were potentially going to bring him in, but Liverpool came in and snatched him from their palms. An exciting prospect. Are you looking forward to seeing him in the Premier League, Aaron?
I am. I'm not looking forward to seeing him for Liverpool, given that I'm an Evertonian. But
you have to be one of them.
but to be honest, I think the way that Liverpool have ran, you know for a fact if they're going to part with that amount of money for a player, then the research has been done there. The thing that I find interesting about Darwin Núñez, and I've said this a couple of times, is that a lot of his great strengths actually don't lend themselves to playing in a side like Liverpool. And what I mean by that is, if you look his goals, a lot of people have pointed to his goals in the Champions League and said, look, he's doing it in Europe's top competition. This is an example of why any club should go out and sign him. But if you look at those sorts of games that Benfica played in, the goals that he scored against Ajax, Liverpool, Barcelona, they all had something in common, and that was that they didn't pay Benfica that much respect in terms of the defensive line. I mean, Liverpool's defensive line was basically on the halfway line in that second leg, and with the game sort of already being sewn up in the first leg. His strengths are he can get his head down with the ball. He's quick when he's moving with it, very, very quick. He's strong. I think he's 6'3" or just under 6'3". He's got an absolute cannon on him. His ability to drift out wide, pick up the ball, and then come inside and release a sort of rocket is a great strength of his. I'm interested to see how he'll do playing for Liverpool, and where teams will sit a lot deeper, because if you look at it on the other hand, when he's playing in the Premier Liga for Benfica, teams also sit deep. So you think, well, it's similar there. Benfica are a big fish in a medium-sized pond in Portugal, and Liverpool are there as one of the top six. Well, one of the top two, to be honest, at the minute. Them in City, and how will he be able to sort of adapt? I think it's a smart signing in that it takes a little bit of pressure off the wide forwards that Liverpool have got. He does offer them something different, in terms of over the last couple of years they've had, Mohamed Salah, who's obviously still there, Sadio Mane, who's now gone, Roberto Firmino, even Diogo Jota. Those players that you think, they can play on the left, they can play on the right, but none of them really stick out to you as this big target man, this focal point, which is what Darwin could be. He's improved his heading massively. A statistic from last season, which is really interesting, is all but one of his goals in the Premier League actually came from inside the box. So for all the sort of clips that you see of him having shots from long range, he knows where the goal is. He knows how to get himself inside that 18-yard box and sniff out the chances. And I think with those wide forwards that Liverpool have got and the midfield of players like Thiago who can sort of link play together, he could go on and have a tremendous season next season. But I'm definitely looking forward to seeing him and Erling Haaland, to be honest, because the comparisons between the two have been made. I don't think they're identical players. I think they offer something slightly different. But I'm looking forward to next season, to be honest. Lots of names came into the league.
There is a lot. Yeah. He's no Sadio Mane, is he, Aaron? Darwin Núñez. They're two. I don't mean in class. I mean, he may come into Premiership and he may, have the same impact as what Mane did. But they're different, aren't they? Totally different to me. Totally. So, I mean, what's going to have to happen is Darwin going to have to change to Liverpool's way of playing, and can he do it, or will Liverpool have to change the way they play to suit Darwin Núñez? Because I dare say he's going to start. They ain't going to pay 100 million for him to sit on the bench. So
you wouldn't think so. No. To be honest, I think the good thing that you've got with Núñez is his versatility. So if it's a case of they'll play someone like Diogo Jota or Firmino more central, they know that they can put Darwin out wide because he's been there and done it for Benfica. Right. The goal against Barcelona was a prime example of him drifting out onto the left, using his weight to bully fullbacks, coming inside and getting a shot off. But I do think that it might be a little bit of a change in system in putting someone like Darwin further forward as that number 9 and playing them as a focal point. Because if you've got someone on the pitch like Trent Alexander-Arnold, and for whatever people may say about his defensive abilities, for a fact when he's putting a cross in, there's technique, there's quality. It's just it's pinpoint most of the time. So if he's putting these crosses in, and sort of you haven't really got this imposing figure, half the time he's looking for ricochets. He's looking. Diogo Jota's great in the air, but again, he's Darwin just offers you something different. It's physically imposing. It's 6'3". It's the fact that he doesn't mind wrestling with defenders. And I think those fullbacks in Robertson or Tsimikas on the left and Trent on the right will be looking forward to putting balls in, definitely. So I think, say, Liverpool, it doesn't... It pains me to say it, but I think they are probably the best.
See the pain in your eyes.
Aaron, you don't have to say it. You don't have to say it.
No. See, when you take on the mantle, you have to remain non-biased, and they for my money, they're probably the best ranked club in Europe. They very, very rarely get it wrong, especially with the big signings. I mean, Navigator hasn't really worked out, but the amount of signings that have came in and hit the ground running. Luis Diaz came in and looked like Liverpool's. He was sort of leading them, and
Jota.
That's another play. I think Jota coming in, and
even Salah and Mane never cost a lot, did they? Thiago didn't cost. Fabinho didn't cost nothing.
And then I think they've confirmed Taki Minamino went yesterday to Monaco. Again, he's another player. He's came in. I think he scored
very good
in the FA Cup and the League Cup. Won those 2 cups, and they've sold him on for a profit. It's just smart business, really.
Yeah, definitely. What do you think that Darwin Núñez needs to work on?
I think at times in possession he can be a little bit loose with his touch. Is what I will say is sort of short passing game isn't, because you see all these sort of graphs about percentiles and stuff, and I don't think it's as bad as people are making out, especially sort of on social media. At times, is this, if he's got too many options, if he's got the choice of going down the flank or playing a simple pass or sort of putting a cross in, he can sometimes mess up. He needs to be a bit more sort of tunnel vision with his decisions and think, this is what I'm going to do. Don't get caught in sort of 2, 3, 4 minds. But I do think that is something that he's improved over the last sort of 6 to 8 months. You look at the player that he was in his first season at Benfica, he actually produced like some great performances in terms of being like a chance creator. I think he provided more assists in the league than he scored goals. And then you look at his sort of 30s, and then it's like he's almost completely flipped. He barely provided any assists, but was this goal machine. And I think his the fact that he can learn and he can develop at Liverpool under Klopp and under their coaches, that those sort of aspects of his game, they'll work on them and then also work to play towards his strengths as well. So I do think in the Premier League, his touch will have to be a little bit tighter because the defenders are quicker. It's a lot more sort of fast paced. Is that if you take a loose touch, you don't have maybe the second or 2 seconds that you've got to get your foot on the ball. In the Premier League, the defenders will just be on you. The centre mids will just be on you. So definitely that'll be something, but he'll already be sort of getting to work on that. And again, Liverpool will know exactly what they need to put in place to make sure that his strengths are highlighted.
Yeah, no, definitely. One last question before you go.
Can I have one after? Something that I've got to ask.
Go first.
I've got to ask. It might be one to do to the end though, because it's not about Portugal. But I have to ask him.
Okay.
All right. Well, I'll get mine in first because mine is about a player we're talking about. Darwin Núñez. No pressure on this question. Can he reach the dizzy heights of the likes of Suarez, Forlan, and Recoba? Could he be one of them names alongside them?
Oof. It's a big question. He's still only young. I mean, what I will say is that he'd be on track to have his name up there as one of Uruguay's greats. I don't think he's played much for the national side. I think he might have 2 or 3 goals and maybe 9 or 10 appearances. But at terms at club level, he's doing all the right things. His career's making all the right noises. This move can be the move, I think, that can sort of catapult him into that sort of level. Because at the minute, on the face of it, we're looking at it, you're thinking, it's a player who's had a very, very good season in the Primera Liga. Now, there's lots of players who will have a very, very good season in the Primera Liga, and some of them will then go on to sort of reach those dizzying heights. Some of them will move on to other clubs and make a good career out of themselves. But said the likes of the names you mentioned there, Luis Suarez, those type of players, we'll see. But I mean, he's doing all the right things so far for me.
All right. It's good, Steve.
Yeah, just one question, and that I'm sure many of our viewers tonight who will watch this after the game. I think you're the perfect person to answer this, Aaron. Richarlison, he's in the news at the moment. He's the man everybody's talking about.
Why are you doing this to him, Steve?
It looks. I've got to ask you. We've got an Everton man in the studio here, so if I let him go without asking him, and then I talk about him afterwards, Kieran be going to me, why didn't you ask Aaron about him? I just need to know your feelings, Aaron. How do you feel about it? Is it good money? For Everton to rebuild. Just a quick couple of minutes on how you feel about
it. To be honest, I think he was always going to leave, and I think he's actually probably given Everton a bit longer than most Evertonians expected. I think when Ancelotti first came in, he said, "Just give us one more season, and we'll try and push for Europe." Ended up finishing mid-table. Then he goes and Rafa Benitez comes in again. Stay one more season. We'll have a really good season. Everton stay up by the skin of the teeth. He's towards the end of the season as well. He was massive in keeping Everton up. I think his goal contributions earned Everton more points than any other Everton player. And he's a massive player for Everton. He's a massive player for sort of our fan base because he embodies, I think, what is good about like a night at Goodison Park. He's good on the ball, but he's tenacious. He can rile other players up. He's got that little bit of, if he plays for your team, you love him. If he plays for the opposition, you hate him. And I think Everton have had players like that over the years, and I think that's what Everton have been about, which tried to maybe move away from, and it hasn't actually done Everton any favours in trying to be maybe a bit more expansive. But that sort of hostile, won't give you the second off the ball, works really hard to press goalkeepers, defenders. And then when he gets on the ball, have you got that little bit of quality? And in my opinion, he has. Now, the transfer fee, the only thing with that is that obviously most Evertonians and Everton as a football club will want to recoup the money that they pay for him and then a bit more. But the problem is probably maybe overpaying in the first instance. So when you're talking about you might be getting 60 or 65 million. Most Evertonians will probably say, well, no, because if Raphinha's going allegedly for more than that, and Richarlison's, start for Brazil, he's Brazil's sort of number 9, and he's been playing for Everton, carrying them on his back. I think the Spurs move, it's an interesting one just to see where he would fit into that side in terms of in the Champions League, obviously, which has got the law, the playing in London, which for players is massive. He get opportunities in the league, in the cups, and then you've got the Champions League. So there's more than enough sort of games there. But will he go there and be a sort of out and out starter? Probably not, especially to begin with. And he's loved by Everton fans, but at the end of the day, you can't expect players to stay at your club forever. While you stay one more season, I'll promise we'll be better next season. Sure. So I'm not one of those that's going to begrudge him, and wherever he goes, I hope he does well, because he's a player I really, really like.
Normally I would say that if he wasn't Spurs.
I think you hit the nail on the head when you said that he embodies what Everton about. He showed that last season, at the end of the season, like that famous bit where he's grabbing the flare and he's running around, and then he's in the changing rooms. He's definitely one they're going to miss. Quickly, one more question before we go. I know I've kept you longer. Give us 2 players who you think everyone should be looking out for in the Premier from Portugal. 2 young players.
Ooh, 2 young players. The first one is easy. The first one's it's a player, to be honest, that hasn't been spoken about that much. Henrique Araujo, his name is. He's a striker who plays for Benfica, primarily Benfica B. So they're sort of second team that plays in the Segunda Liga, the second division. He's 20, I think, but he's just frighteningly good, to be honest. I think with Benfica selling Darwin Núñez and the fact that they've got someone like Gonçalo Ramos and then also Henrique Araujo, he can come in and making it. He started on the last game of the season, his first start, and he scored both goals in a 2-0 win. And it was sort of like, you'll see more of that next season. I think at 20 years old, he's already better than some strikers who've played for Portugal's national team. And I really mean that. I won't sort of name drop, but he's a player that will slowly start getting linked to sort of bigger clubs. And the only hope is that can he just stay for 2 or 3 seasons and try and really develop, because I think he's a superb player. And then it's difficult because all of the basically the under 21 side has been completely decimated. I mean, not to go off topic, but the last I was over in Portugal last year watching the under 21s it was during COVID, so it was just literally pressing there, and just watching that side. They ended up going to the final, as I said, and it was like Diogo Costa in goal, Porto's keeper. He'll be Portugal's number 1, so he could be my other player. He'll play between the sticks for the national side for years to come. Left back was Nuno Mendes, who's now at PSG, and then it was a midfield 3. I think of Vitinha played, Fábio Vieira come off the bench, but obviously these are all still playing.
These are well-known players now.
Yeah, exactly. And this was at the end of last year. I think it was a game against an under 21 game against Norway with no crowd. The front 3 was Pedro Neto on the right, and he scored twice on that night as well. Through the middle was Rafael Leao, who's just been nominated the Serie A best player, the MVP from Milan, and on the left was Jota, who's he's just won the SPL with Celtic, and I think he's going to sign permanently. Again, off the bench was like Fábio Vieira. I think Diogo Dalot from United played. Pedro Gonçalves played. So to be honest, as soon as you
just
start,
one. We'll take the one.
As soon as you start hyping up these players, I mean, how many of that squad now have moved on to your PCs, your big side. So I'll go with Diogo Costa because he was the first name that came to mind. Not many people choose goalkeepers when you think about ones to watch. They always think about this, the number 10s and the strikers and the wingers. I'll go with him.
All right, cool. Aaron, thank you very much. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on.
Brilliant.
No problem. Thanks for having me on, lads. Really enjoyed it.
All right.
Fantastic.
All right, let everyone know where they can find you, your socials and everything like that.
Yeah, so we're on, our website is proxima-jornada.com. Don't worry about the spelling. I imagine it'll be in some sort of description.
I saw it and I didn't read it out, because I didn't want to butcher it. That's why I've let you do it. It's got an X in it and I'm like, what is going on? Don't do this to me.
On TalkSport last week or the week before, and they tried, but they absolutely butchered it. The Twitter is at Próxima Jornada 1, and we've also got a podcast that's available on all streaming services. So we've got interviews on there with players, Primeira Liga players, coaches, journalists, fans, just giving you the latest news on Portuguese football. So if you're into that, give us a follow. If not, don't worry.
Fantastic.
Right, brilliant. You make sure you go and give Aaron a follow. It's been quality tonight. I'm sure he'll answer any of your questions, especially now you've opened the floodgates to Arsenal fans, Aaron. Now they've seen you on this, that's it. You're in trouble, mate. They're going to be on your case, asking you about how good is he and all this. Who's the next one Arsenal going to buy? But it's all good.
Yeah.
Stuff. Thanks, Hans.
We only had 70,000 Arsenal fans watch our last video, so when you're probably going to be busy for the next week.
Incoming.
All right, take care, mate. Take care.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Right. All right, you make sure you go and follow Aaron. As he said, the Primeira Jordana. So I'll put it up on the socials because like he said, he had TalkSport researchers going through it, running through a fine tooth comb, and they got it wrong. So don't expect me to get it right. All right, it's that time again. It's time. Look, do you know what? Because this guy reached out to me on the socials, Naya. Naya has been asking. He's in there early, and he's already asking questions about Marc Cucurella. Steve, can we start on the update from Marc Cucurella? Hold on, let me get this up. Marc Cucurella update. Because this man is chomping at the bit.
Well, at the moment, it's work in progress. Man City want the player. Brighton don't mind selling the player. They met in Barcelona. About 2 weeks ago. It was all going swimmingly. Since then, Brighton have sort of been holding out for around 50 million. They've been waiting for Man City to come in for another bid. We are expecting them to come in for another bid, but everybody's on the same page at the moment with the deal. Man City want him. Cucurella is desperate to leave. The one of their left backs was Kalenko or whatever his name is from the Ukraine. He's already in talks with Everton. They're already freeing up space. What you will find is that once Man City have sort of freed up, they've got rid of Sterling, Jesus signs is out of the way, Kevin Phillips came in, Marc Cucurella will be the next person that you will see things start happening to. But at the moment, it's still work in progress at the minute. But it's one of those ones that's, as I said, he's gone out there. He's gone out to the Man City offices in Barcelona. I was told that by a very, very big Man City source of mine. So this is one they need. They need a left back. They can't keep swapping and changing all the time. They want someone. They're doing a lot of competitions next year's Man City. They want to go and win them all. And this is the guy they want. So, it may have gone quiet, but just wait until it simmers down all the rest of the stuff because they've got a lot of things going on. And then Marc Cucurella, you'll start seeing more news about him and that. But, expect a second bid from Man City soon.
And while you're here, you mentioned him just before, Zinchenko. Update on any Everton news you were saying there?
Well, some Everton news we've already spoke about. Richarlison now. we all know that he's very, very close now to signing for Spurs. That just looks like it's going to happen. Personal terms are agreed with the player. Again, like they're all on the same page. That I can see that being done in the next week. Sticking on the on the theme of Everton, Steven Bergwijn. Everton have got him for him. They've made a bid to them for that player to Spurs. There was some rumours about the fact that this was going to be like tied in as a swap deal plus cash with Richarlison. That's not the case. Everton have been interested in Bergwijn for a long, long time now, much longer than they were with Ajax, and they've got that little bit of a head in front of them in front of Ajax. Also, we've got Harry Winks, who's also someone that Everton's very interested in. So a lot going on at Everton at the minute, and I've also been told that they're looking at wanting to bring in another couple of more players. One's going to be a forward. That don't take like working out why. We don't know who that is, but we will, as soon as we know, we'll let you know.
All right. Latest on Raheem Sterling. I've had a lot of questions sent my way with regards to obviously Chelsea put in the Raphinha bid, but what does this mean for Raheem Sterling? Because it seemed like a deal was very much on its way. £35 million, I think it was around. What's happening? They still want Raheem Sterling. Tuchel wants two wingers. Yeah.
He wants to bring in Raheem Sterling on the left. He wants to play Raphinha on the right. And the only thing is, you've just mentioned the price there of 35 million. They're going to have to pay more than 35 to get Sterling. Man City want over about 120 million for both Jesus and Sterling. So 35 is not going to cut the mustard.
Another 70 million for Sterling.
They're going to have to go back in with a high up bid, and they'll come to a compromise like Man City did with Arsenal over Jesus. In the end, they did come to a compromise. In the end, it turned out. But Chelsea still wants Sterling. Tuchel will be going hard for Sterling in the window. They want to get this Raphinha one out of the way quick as possible. There's still a lot of stuff going on with Raphinha, as you probably know. It's not a done deal yet. It's looking likely that it'll be Chelsea. He's agreed personal terms. The fees obviously been already with Leeds, so it's looking likely. But you're looking at Arsenal. They still want the player. They still want him, and they're going to go hard, really hard, until the end of the window. Becco's still knocking his nuts out, if you excuse my French. He's been over in Barcelona today. He's been talking to Barcelona all day long. And Barcelona also are still trying to get some money together to convince Leeds to sell and for Raphinha to come over to Barcelona. Raphinha still wants to play for Barcelona. Let's get this right. He does. If Barcelona still come up with that money, if they get that money, he will still go to Barcelona at the 11th hour. So this one is a long, long way from over yet. It's something that could be done in 10 minutes' time. We could hear that Barcelona have held their hands up and gone, right, okay, fair enough. Or this could rattle on and on and on and on. We'll have to wait. We'll have to wait and see.
All right. While we're on the subject of Barcelona, Frenkie de Jong, Man United fans chomping at the bit for this one. We're hearing contrasting rumours. We're hearing rumours that say a deal is close. A deal is close. And then when you break it down, you see that when they say a deal is close, they're talking about a deal between Barcelona and Manchester United. We know that deal is close. We know that Barcelona are open to selling Frenkie de Jong. We know that Man United are desperate to get in Frenkie de Jong so you can reunite with Erik ten Hag. And then you look down at it and then you try and break down where people, the top tier journalists saying personal terms. Not one of them has said personal terms have been agreed. Let's just get that straight. And then you'll hear personal terms might be a problem. That's slightly different from personal terms being agreed.
Yeah.
In my eyes. So, Steve?
65 million, 25 million add-ons. Not a problem between the two clubs. Not a problem. It was never going to be a problem, I think, in the end. Personal terms, speaking to Frenkie de Jong never happened. We have said it for the last month that there's never been any personal terms. There's never been any conversations between Manchester United. We've heard it from journalists after journalists after journalists. We've got slagged off on our page. We're saying that we're this, we're that. There's never ever been any personal terms. It was confirmed by Fabrizio Romano today that we're going to actually start talking to Frenkie de Jong because they'd agreed terms. Yeah, Barcelona would never ever allow their player to talk to Manchester United if they've not agreed a fee with them. End of story. Also, all these, I'm sorry if I'm finding a bit irate then, but I'm quite a bit annoyed with people trying to con fans by saying there's been no talks. Talks will start now. Yeah, talks will start now. And from what I'm hearing, Frenkie de Jong's not happy. Right? I've been told that he's not happy. But he will go if not wanted.
But that's what we said from the start. We said if Frenkie de Jong gets pushed out or Barcelona make it clear that they do not want him, he will go. Because I think you said it to me a couple of weeks ago. Because once he has the feeling that Barcelona want to sell him, he's worrying about his space in his team. You've got the World Cup coming up, and he can't take that risk. He doesn't want to take that risk. So it was never about not going.
Also, Kieran, he's got on his side. He's got Xavi on his side. Xavi doesn't want him to go. He doesn't want him to leave. He's an integral part of Barcelona. Now, Man United fans, right? We're not saying this ain't going to happen. It could happen. It probably will, because Frankie, one of these person that needs to feel wanted, right? The Barcelona fans don't want him to go, right? So we're not saying it's not going to happen. It probably will happen. The fees agreed. Barcelona have agreed that he can leave, right? So if you're a player and you know that your club don't want you, that's a big tick, as if to say, well, no, they don't want me here. Maybe I should go. Talks are going to start now, and from what I know, they're going to have to pay him an extortionate amount of money. Yeah, Barcelona have also got to pay money for him to leave because he's in a 2-year contract. He's still got 2 years left. They've got to pay that off.
He's not asking to leave.
No, they've got to pay him off. Yeah. So how that will all be? That's probably been part of the add-ons, and that's why Manchester United. All we've seemed to have kept hearing over the last few weeks, Man United are not going to pay that. Man United will never pay that. Man United walk away. Man United haven't walked away. Man United haven't done anything. Man United are paying the full 85. Yeah. Right? Barcelona we're never going to let a guy who's got 2 years left in his contract go for €40 million. Think about it. It's just common sense sometimes. You don't even have to hear it from a tier one journalist. It's just common sense. They've got to pay the 85. Fair enough, 25 will be in add-ons, but they've still got to pay it. Or 20 of it, I think, is in add-ons. So great news for Man United, because it looks like they're halfway there. But again, similar to the Raphinha, there's still plenty of work to do.
There is. All right. Man United nipped in with a last-minute swoop of Feyenoord fullback Tyrell Malacia. They grabbed him last night. Final bits. That one's done now, Steve. Yeah.
Done. Yeah, right. What is he? He's a right back. Is he right back or left back?
Left back. 13 million plus 1.7 million in add-ons. I think it was, wasn't it?
That's right. Yeah, in add-ons. So look, good signing, good player. The talks went on like today. They sort of really round up very quick, as you say. They hijacked the player from was it Lille, who looked like that's where he was going. They're still discussing the last sort of bits and pieces of the personal terms, but look, this one looks done. I've heard it'd be a deal worth around about 15 million euros, plus some add-ons, plus about 2 million in add-ons, and I think he's it's a good signing. What this means for Telles, and you've got Telles there, you've got Brandon Williams there, you've got Luke Shaw there, and now you've got Tyrell Malacia. So they've got 4 left backs. So I assume one or two of them's got.
Yeah.
I would have thought Telles and probably Brandon Williams maybe moving on, or Brandon Williams maybe going out on loan. But a good signing.
I think I saw something the other day which said Brandon Williams is probably surplus to requirements, so that might tie in. And
yeah. But they're making moves there, Man United. They're starting to make moves, which is pleasing for Man United fans. And we're not too sure what's happening on the other side of the pitch, the right back. Martinez is the most likeliest one to leave there. So we've already know that they would never sell both. So it looks like Martinez is the one that will be leaving.
Would that potentially rule out a move for Man United if he's a left back, centre back who's for the Premier League? You're talking about a 5'10" centre back, which is again okay. It's all right for a stand-in, but is he going to be a Premier League centre back and a defensive midfielder?
Leo, as you've already said there, mate. Lisandro Martinez is a left-sided centre back, left-sided. Left back, and he was also come a left-sided midfield player. Yeah. So no. And what I've heard just before that is that Manchester United are now going to be interested in putting most of their force and money, if you like, that they're going to have left from their budget, because after all this, they're not going to have much money left in from their budget. And that's going to go. They're going to go full force out for Anthony. It's going to cost them quite a lot of money. It's going to cost them about 70 million pound. And apparently they've only got 130 to spend. Was it? I think 130 million to spend. Man United. So they're sort of
rounding up some money, selling some players. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, they will have to start selling some money. But Martinez, for me, it's not making any sense now. And I've heard that I think they're just going to pull out of that one. Yeah.
All right. Another one I saw, Leeds looking at Cody Gakpo of PSV.
Yes, Cody Gakpo. I mean, a player who's a lot of players have been looking at over the last few weeks. A player that I really have to have a look at, because he's meant to be class, this guy.
Very tall winger, could probably lay down the line, play as a striker, as a centre forward as well. Pacey, scores goals. Looks like a very good player.
Yeah, and the team that seems to have started to edge. I mean, there's big interest from AC Milan. They're very, very interested in. But the team that sort of comes to light in the last day or so are Leeds United. And they could be the next destination for the PSV now even forward. Leeds have already held talks with Gakpo's management and outlined the vision for the player. Leeds United would, need to agree a fee with PSV. I mean, they're looking for something around 35 million, 40 million pounds, but they will have that money because obviously because of the sale of Raphinha. And I think this guy would be perfect, a replacement for him. Bringing someone in of that ilk, a goal scorer, someone of quality, who really most of the top clubs in Europe wouldn't say no to. So yeah, Cody Gakpo and Leeds. I mean that could be a good one. Although AC Milan is sniffing around, but really a right quality player. 40 million. I don't know. I've not seen that much of him to say whether he's worth that amount of money. But certainly, someone Leeds feel that it is.
Yeah, I feel like it's going to be hard to get him from PSV for too much less. Talk about 30 to 40, just because of the amount of goals he scored or contributed to last season, and he's very highly regarded as well. We were just speaking about him, Lisandro Martinez. What's the latest on him? Arsenal, obviously, you've mentioned Man United potentially could be pulling out of that. I don't know who else was linked with him.
Nobody, really. It wasn't nobody. It's just a straight fight out between Arsenal, Manchester United, and Ajax, if you like, who obviously would love to keep the player. But Arsenal, as you know, everybody knows, made or you may not, made the second bid of 40 million for the Ajax and Argentinian international. We're waiting to see what the answer is. I mean, they're taking a long while from Ajax to come back and give their answer to the bid. It's very, very close, Arsenal. Arteta wants this guy big, big style. And this is I think we spoke about it on the Arsenal show last night, that I think that this guy could be more important to Arsenal than probably what Raphinha would be, because he can play in a number of positions. The feeling is that they want around about 50 million. I'll be told that 45 million should seal the deal if they're prepared to pay it, of course. And I think that Arsenal will. I think they would pay that. We've said that Manchester United are interested, but that's starting to cool a bit. We're starting to hear that they may be pulling out to look in other areas now. Now they've got may have the Frenkie de Jong signing, tied up, put the remainder of the budget into Anthony. But the guy's quality. He's probably one of the best centre backs in the Eredivisie last season. And it's just a matter of now Arsenal just waiting for Ajax. I think if the fact that it's gone on so long and we're not hearing anything, I think that's a good thing for an Arsenal fan.
Yeah, I've mentioned this before with transfers, when it feels like when a club goes in for a second bid and it goes quiet, especially with Arsenal, they're very stealthy like that. You usually hear some good news at the end of it. So I think this one's just about being patient, people. If you're in the right place to know what's going on, make sure you're following the Transfer Exchange show, and make sure you hit that like, subscribe, and the notification so you don't miss a thing, because we will be going live throughout the transfer window.
Robert Lewandowski, Barcelona gone back in for Robert Lewandowski. Big, that's a big one. So to add that,
which I mean, is it because they've found a little extra funds through the
I think so.
Thing?
It seems that way, doesn't it? It seems at the exact time that you get announced that a fee's been agreed with Manchester United for De Jong, and all of a sudden we're hearing now that Barcelona are putting in a new proposal into Bayern Munich for 40 million. So they've upped it. And look, again, let's think about this. Robert Lewandowski, they need him for the Champions League. They really do need him to give him that extra push towards possibly even winning it. So easy. I think you mentioned here, and I think you said we said off air that you think he would be Barcelona's number one priority, their number one target, and it seems that he is.
Yeah. And one that Arsenal fans another player that Arsenal fans are chomping at the bit to see what's happening with is Youri Tielemans. It's gone very quiet for a little while. Any updates on Youri Tielemans?
There's nothing now. There's nothing there at the moment. We said from before that Arsenal put their bid in. Again, very similar to the Lisandro Martinez's one. There's been nothing coming back to say Leicester selling to Arsenal to go and do one. We've been waiting, but nothing's happened. Yes, it's gone quiet. Arsenal have been very busy over the last few weeks, with signings of Marquinhos and Vieira, and obviously Gabriel Jesus, and obviously trying to get Raphinha, which is still not out of the question, and obviously Martinez. So the reason why it's gone quiet is Arsenal doing business other places. When all that's quieting down towards the end of the window, you'll see Arsenal then start talking about Youri Tielemans again, because he is someone that Mikel Arteta has been trying to get in and to get into the club for not just weeks now, not just this window, but since January, and there's been talks for months and months and months. So when people are saying to me there's been no more talks, it's gone quiet, there's not a lot more talks that they can do, to be honest with you.
And any Arsenal fans, if you haven't seen the Edu interview, the latest one, it's probably on like Monday or Tuesday, just after Fábio Vieira purchase was announced. It's a very good interview for sort of reading in between the lines. It gives away a lot without giving away anything. It's a very, very, very good one for an Arsenal fan. And he said it there. He said that Arsenal are not scouting for players in the summer transfer window. They're scouting for players months and months and months ago, 8 months ago. So the fact that you're hearing Youri Tielemans and then 2-3 days later you see a Fábio Vieira come in, one doesn't cancel out the other, because again, these are two transfers that they've been looking at for however long. And if you listen to Aaron, Fábio Vieira's main position is probably a bit higher, maybe out on the wing as well. He's not a number 8. He's not a number 8. And look, if Arsenal don't bring anyone, it will be Granit Xhaka sitting in that number 8 position. And that's what I feel. I don't think you're going to see a Fábio Vieira sitting in that number 8 position. Probably a bit too early in his career for Arsenal, and they do need someone in there for another option. So for me, it's going to be Tielemans, and I just think it's one of them deals that they can tie up later on in the window.
Yeah, just hearing that apparently Emerson Royal could be leaving Tottenham, which is interesting, because I was told earlier on today that Spurs were looking for is Emerson Royal right back? Yeah. I was told today by a very good source that Tottenham could be in for a right back.
And that right back's probably called Jed Spence, isn't it?
Yes.
Don't worry. Don't worry. I'll be. Don't know. Steve went there. Jed Spence is one that definitely would be keeping an eye on. If there's any news on that, we will try our hardest to get information out as quickly as possible on that one. So,
Jed Spence.
All right, so watch out for Jed Spence. As soon as we can get some news on that, we'll send it your way, people. Trust me. Steve, any more before we go?
No, I think that is with Crystal Palace. They've made a fantastic signing in Czech Decore. Lens midfielder. I mean, he's going to undergo a medical tomorrow. So Crystal Palace looking strong, and I've been told that their spending what is not been done. I think they've already brought in Sam Johnson as a keeper. I think they've already brought in the Malcolm Iburi from Derby County. So plenty of business going on there from Crystal Palace, and a lot of clubs now starting to make moves, especially the top clubs. So there's going to be a lot of competition, I would have thought, and I think that's why you're seeing a lot of teams after the same players.
There is.
And obviously Gabriel Jesus is an Arsenal player, so for all Arsenal players, I'm sure you're very pleased to hear that.
Very, 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 very good signing for Arsenal. Great bit of business. £45 million for a player that's won 4 Premier League titles and is still on the age of 25. I mean, you can't really complain about someone with that sort of winning mentality into your squad, can you?
Yeah, and can play on the left, and also can play out on the left wing as well. So
yes. Make sure you smash that like and subscribe. Make sure you go and follow Steve on the Twitter. Go and follow all our social media pages. As I say, if you've got any questions, give me a shout. Always willing to answer your questions. If my inbox is shut on one profile, it'll be open on another one. Don't worry about that. I'll always try and answer your questions and try and get them to Steve or anyone else. I think maybe you'll be able to answer it as well. All right. Thank you very much for joining us, people. Thank you very much in the comment section. Thank you very much for some new people I see in the comment section there. So make sure you press that subscribe button. Steve, thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Pleasure as always, mate. Pleasure as always.
All right. And make sure you go and follow Aaron Barton on Twitter. Top guest tonight.
Top class. I'll be following him.
All right. Peace out, people. Stay safe and wash your hands.